Hi, Christa here, and you and I have an appointment. This is our place where we pause, we reflect, and we talk about really what's truly important in leadership awareness, connection, and communication. So thank you for making the appointment. Grab yourself a cup of coffee. Let's breathe and let's chat. Today I want to talk about trauma bonding. And trauma bonding is specific in the workplace as well. But before we get to it, what is trauma bonding? Now, a while ago in South Africa, we had huge amount of rains. And during that, flooding happened. And a lot of people that usually do not get really along had the reality that they had to deal with the trauma. They had to jump in and assist in the community. Now, that's a community that usually do not pull together. And then all of a sudden, now they're working together because they've got a common goal. In that moment, what we refer to as trauma bonding. There's a trauma that happens. People come together because they've got one fear, they've got one stress, they've got one tension factor, and they need to address that. Now, something similar happens in the workplace. Especially when team members don't necessarily get on with their leader. Now, I'm sure that you can absolutely identify with that. The moment that there's something about the leader that's either indecisive or in the way that they operate, really frustrating everybody. What happens is, amongst the team members, they start bonding. And because they all get frustrated, they all have tension with the leader. And all of a sudden, it really looks on the surface as if the team is really bonding and working well together. And then when the leader disappears, goes and replaced somewhere else, leaves the company, and then often what happens is the common denominator is now removed. And then the hard reality kicks in because it wasn't true connection. It was trauma bonding. And I would like to bring another example to the table. Years ago in South Africa during the apartheid years, what happened was when groups were really pulling together to actually get the attention of the government, what started happening is these families were really driven by one purpose, by one cause, by one goal. And the moment in 1994 when apartheid was lifted and it was all brought into equality, a lot of those relationships that were going through the struggle, that was their purpose, that was their connection, that was their bonding experience, fell apart. A lot of them got divorced. And in the conversation, when they had the conversations with these individuals and with these couples, was all of a sudden they realized what held them together. They've outgrown one another. They've drifted apart. But what held them together was the struggle. And when the struggle was removed, they realized that they weren't connected anymore. And they battled to find the common ground again. Now, it's important for us in business as leaders to realize that when trauma bonding is happening, on the surface, it looks as if everybody is working together. But what is actually happening is they start to actually pull together and disclose whatever they're feeling, their frustrations, their tensions in private. It's not brought to the surface. It's not dealt with. So when you have trauma bonding in your company, it is important to realize that there's an emotional culture concern that's going on. We need true connection. We need open communication. We need to be able to regulate ourselves so that we have space for somebody else to bring in whatever they have. It so often happens that our team people are adapting, but they're not truly happy. When there's trauma bonding, what starts happening is productivity goes down. People are not, they're focusing on what is the common denominator, what is pulling them together, not what is good for the company and moving forward. We need to address that. Trauma bonding really is a strong and real connection place. And what often happens is if a team pulls together during trauma bonding situations and you remove the leader, what will they do is they will find a way to create another trauma space for them to keep on being connected. So we need to be mindful. What is happening? Ask yourself, in my team, are they truly connected for purpose? Or is there trauma bonding going on? Are they gossiping behind closed doors? Are they doing what they need to do, but there's not motivation? There's actually a sense of frustration that is buzzing all along. As a leader, it's important to realize when you are doing something that is really blocking your team. If the same thing happens with everybody else, if everybody's bringing the same frustration to the table and you're not listening to it, the chances are that they are actually all feeling that they will start pulling their forces together and not connect with you. You're not going to get ultimate out of them what you need. So ask yourself, as the CEO, as the exec, go and look down. If there's a common frustration in teams, it's often that they're trauma bonding. They're bonding together and it looks like they are performing maximally. So we as human beings, we want a healthy emotional culture where people are truly connecting for the purpose of the company, but also feeling that they as human beings are being understood and that they're being heard. The moment that we do that, we start connecting with one another. We can start, that's true connection, where we can repair conflict, where we can regulate ourselves, where we can truly communicate, where we can overcome certain frustrations in the open, in the formal spaces, in the team spaces. What are you going to do to make sure that your team is truly emotionally mature and happy to connect, true connections? Or are we dealing with trauma bonding? Christa here, thank you for making your appointment. It was so lovely having you. If this speaks to you, please subscribe with the notifications and share this with somebody that might find value in it.